Sword of Justice has a lot of skills to choose from. However, you only have like limited slots to slot in some of these skills, and some of these skills can be very expensive to obtain and also to level them up and also upgrade, so you can't really do them all. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and show you what are the best possible ultimates, and also when it comes to your hero skills, what you need to be going for and what you need to be like doing your gacha for. And I'll also talk about the best hero skills to be using, because these are all gacha skills and you really want to know what you're going for so that you don't waste your jades and your pulls. But before we start, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, which is MuMuPlayer. MuMuPlayer is an Android emulator that is engineered for specifically one thing, and that is flawless performance. If you have used other emulators before and you have struggled with things like lag, stutters, and also crashes, MuMuPlayer gives you the flexibility to set up your Android devices the way you want to. This also gives you the ability to seamlessly run multiple games and apps on multiple devices on the same PC if your PC can handle it. But most people use an emulators, their PC are not that strong to run these games on the PC versions of them. Another cool feature on the MuMuPlayer is the ability to keybind your keyboard on multiple features on the emulator itself, so that you can play these games as if you are just playing it on PC, even though it is a mobile one emulated. Now, MuMuPlayer is developed by NetEase, and also one of the major selling points for this emulator is it features no ads, so you're gonna be playing your games without any interruptions when it comes to ads from the emulator itself. So that's one of the major selling points for this. So if you have been interested in playing any of these MMO games on your PC, but you couldn't be able to run any of the PC versions of this game, Crystal Atlas, Sword of Justice, Warriors Mail, League of Legends, Wide Rift, things like that, they will be available on this emulator. So you can use my download link down in the description below, and also the pinned comment. That would directly support me as well as a creator. So thanks guys if you want to do that. And this is the emulator I would recommend for anyone to use if they wanted to use an emulator for any of these games. And with that out of the way, let's go into the video for today. So for the first things first, we're going to talk about the ultimate skills, and I want to go like really quickly here because it's super easy to work with. Now for the first ultimate of the video is the Tai Chi seal. So this is a major one for tanks. Tanks are who are going to be taking this one, and the main reason for this is sometimes for raids it is super useful because it is going to remove some mechanics on some bosses. It clears the traps and projectiles. So traps and projectiles in raids is things like ground AoEs that are placed by the boss and things like that. You can use the Tai Chi seal to remove some of those mechanics. But that is it about the skill. It doesn't really do anything better after that. It's mainly to clear those. So that is that. The second option for DPS would be Lotus Blaze for tanks. This is something I would suggest to use. It's really good skill, gives you invisible frame, so you can use it to skip some like hard hitting skills on bosses and things like that. So it's very useful, and it's pretty good for PvP as well. Really good CC with invisible frame, so you can jump into a whole group of people and then just do Lotus Blade, and that is it. So those are the two main ones I would suggest. If you're a tank, you want to focus on these two. There is others, but these are my two, and I don't want to mention everything. I'm just going to mention my top recommendations. And then next for the healers is Order to You. This is a no-brainer. All healers, all the selves will have to go for this one. Order to You buffs your entire team, gives the movement speed, attack speed, and elemental damage. Is super good for burst phases. Other than that, maybe the class one, but not really. Order to You is just like really strong. I don't think you're gonna be swapping away from this one if you're a healer at all. So you can easily get the Tai Chi seal from the sect quest. So all you have to do is join the Skyrim and then do every requirement here, and once you're done with the last one, you should be able to get the Tai Chi seal there, and then you're gonna gacha for the rest to level it up. Order to You is a purely gacha one, so this one you're gonna do a gacha for leveling it up if you're interested in leveling it up to the maximum. So that's a pure gacha ultimate skill. And now let's go to the DPS classes. I'm going to bundle them all together. So the Celestial, Nomina, Nightwalker, and Bloodstorm, they can all use the same things. Now here the top one, the best one, is the Swordstorm Blossom. This skill is really insane, really insane. You're going to be getting this skill from your sect quest. All you're gonna do is you're gonna join the Yarn insect over here. Once you do everything, you can get the Sword Blossom, one of them for free over here, and then you wanna gacha for the remaining ones, and you're gonna max this one out as quickly as possible. This is your priority skill. Now, Sword of Blossom does a lot of damage and is also the best PvP skill to use for things like GVG as well. Even 3v is super good. It's also an airborne skill, and you'll be in the air when you're casting the skill, which can be used to cheese some boss mechanics and things like that. So this is a really good skill that everyone AL DPS needs to have. Really beautiful skill. A lot of damage. All of it, and you're fully airborne during this time. You're the one who's going to choose when to land. Does a lot of damage. That is still the element skill. Really beautiful damage. So this is one of the main ultimate skills you're going to be leveling up as a DPS. Forget about everything else, and this is what you're going to be using all your Jades for, and also going to be wishing on this one. The next skill I'm going to be talking about here is the Lotus Blaze. The Lotus Blade is also a really good ultimate skill. It's the second best one here that I would talk about, but this is maybe, it's better if tanks take this, not really DPS. It's not really as good as Sword of Blossom, right? However, Lotus Blade is super good, gives you iframes and does decent damage. It's better damage once you level it up. Other stat is really good for invisibility frames because you are immune to damage when you're casting this skill. This is pure immune, so which is super good. It's super fast though to cast, and the damage is not that good, but it is okay. But out of the other ultimates, it is the better choice over the others, so it is the second best one for you. Now, my third and final option would be the Remnant Trisunder. Now, this one isn't that bad. It's actually really good, and it actually is a very huge contender for number 2 slot. Now, this skill does really good damage. It does have multiple cast on it, and it's also AoE. Does really good damage. I have it leveled up. I have it leveled up, so it's it kind of hits a little bit harder for me than Sword of Blossoms. So with all that damage you are seeing there, don't be misled though. The reason it does a lot of damage is I think it is the only ultimate skill right now that is directly buffed from one of your pieces. So you do have this relic that you get from Dreamblade Abyss that does give you 30% more damage on the final hit on Trisunder. So that is a little bit inflated there, but once we change out this, which is pretty soon once you do your heroic raids and stuff, you're gonna have to change this piece for something else. So you're gonna lose this buff, and then Trisunder is gonna jump down in priority. But right now it does really good damage when you have this trinket equipped. You get this trinket from Dreamblade Abyss level 3, so keep that in mind if you wanna go for it. But yeah, when it comes to DPS ultimate, those are the 3 choices there. Now let's quickly talk about one skill here, Dream of Blossom. This is actually, I kind of regret this. I have leveled it up all the way to Transcend, which is it's okay, but I kind of wish I did level Sword of Blossom instead of Dream of Blossom. So it is not a bad skill, and it does really good damage. However, it's better if I would have done the Sword of Blossom. This is not really good for PvP as well. You do get like 3 casts on it, and you're unstoppable in doing it, but the last hit kind of sometimes misses and things like that. Long cast time as well, so there is that. It's not super good skill, but it looked good for me at the start, but I kind of regret it now, and I wish I went for something more. So just save your Jades for Sword of Blossoms and don't go for Dream of Blossom. This is a little bit of a bait. It's a little bit of a bait. So don't do it. Go max out Swordstone Blossom, and you never need to care about any other ultimate skill for now. There is better ones coming on later on, but for now this one is the best in slot. And with that, we're gonna go straight into the hero skills. The hero skills are super easy, so we're gonna go really quickly here. If you are doing PvE, you only have 2 choices here, to be honest. 2 choices here. For PvE, Rise of the Blade is just too strong of a hero skill to not ever have on your bar, and you also wanna like level it up to max as well. You can easily level this up to Sky Soar super quickly, just because every time you're gathering for anything in the game, you're gonna be getting these heroes, and you're gonna get the copies of you're gonna get his copies extremely fast, and that's where you need it to be at level 6. The moment you max it out, you should be able to get this 60-minute, this 1 hour buff here. Now this is the skill where you will see a lot of people in PvE using, and there is a reason why everyone is going to be using it. You're going to see people hammering their weapon and stuff and trying to get this level 6 buff over here. Now the reason why this is super strong is this buff is insane. Like I'm getting 310 attack right now, and you get this buff for 1 hour. However, remember the moment you do that, you don't really you cannot unslot it, so it has to be there. But this is such a strong buff that it is better than any other hero skill out there, even the legendary heroes. It is just so strong. I kind of think they regret making it. They have to nerf it or something, but this is the best in slot, especially for PvE. Now for PvP, it is not really usable, okay? However, you can use it for PvE, for PvP if you are sure you're not gonna die. If you are sure you're not gonna die. But the PvP is you want to be a little bit more defensive in PvP. So for PvE, Rise of the Blade, no contest here. I don't even need to talk about any other one. However, if you're a healer though, you wanna go for Melodic Blossom. Tanks, you can still build you can still go with that, right? Healers do Melodic Blossom. This one is from an ultimate hero, so it's a little bit more expensive for you if you wanna level it up. But yeah, Melodic Blossom for healers. The rest of the classes are gonna be going for Rise of the Blade. Now when it comes to PvP, to be honest, there is multiple options. There's a lot of crowd control happening here, but I'm just gonna give you my honest opinion. Everyone should run the Jade Cloud Flute. This skill is just really good for PvP. Now PvP is all about surviving, doing your best, getting out, surviving, things like that. Jade the flute skill gives you unstoppable, right? And then does a massive heal on yourself and some allies around you. So this is a way of, like, even as assassin like myself, Nightwaker, it's a skill I always use in PvP. It is super good. Another thing is you want to level this up to level 3. I'm kind of working on that. So you want to go to Pinnacle. The reason for Pinnacle, it does give you movement speed when you are casting, so that movement speed 40% is super good. You can use it to disengage and run out. And if once I get that, I can combine it with my break free as well for stealth, which is super good. You can go to level 4 for the extra 10% damage reduction. Sky Soul is not really that big of a deal, but it's okay. But the main one here is the level 3 and the level 4, but level 3 mainly for the movement speed. The reason for that is you can combine it with some of your break free skills, so you can like Jade Float, people are like following you, and then you can break free there, and then you're in stealth, and it's still casting it. It's actually insane. It is actually insane. So when you're doing PvP, just do your Jade Float. It's a kind of it's a very annoying skill. Everyone using this, anyone doing PvP knows how annoying this skill is, but it's just annoying because it is just very effective. These others are not that good. They're doable. There's some with like really good CC. However, they're very outshined by some skill. Like this is really good CC, but yeah, good damage as well. But Jade Flume is just better. Jade Flume is just better. Now I know this is not part of the video, but I'm just gonna mention it. When you're coming to your last slot over here, so your old school skill. For the old school skills, there's like multiple choices you can use, but I'm just gonna quickly go through my recommendation. Now, if you're a support, you wanna really look for Boundless Insight. This one gives one of your teammates like crit and crit damage, a really beautiful buff. However, it is only on one person, so that is that. You kind of nerfs it a little bit because of that. But if you have a friend and you want them to be MVP, just give them the Insight buff, and they are gonna do a lot of damage, and they're gonna love you for it. So yeah, you can use that one if you're a Sylph. Now if you're a tank and you find yourself like losing some aggro, you can go for Tiger Strike. Tiger Strike gives you a lot of damage to monsters, 15% for 15 seconds, but also gives you 150% extra aggro. You don't really have to worry about aggro, but maybe your teammates are a little bit overgeared than you by far and you're losing aggro. You can put Tiger Strike and stuff. Most of the time, they'll also run Tiger Strike, to be honest, because they want this 15% damage dealt to monsters, which is super insane. It is super good. However, this one also increases damage you take from mobs, so keep that in mind. For PvE, this one is usable. It's one of the top choices here. However, there's a better one I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Now, the main one here I want to talk about is the Heaven Strike Plume. This one is a super useful one. Now, Heaven Strike is the best in slot for PvE, and you also wanna get the red version. I'm gonna post a link down on how you're gonna be able to get this. When it comes to the other ones, they're not really that good. For example, these yellow ones, it looks a little bit different. Where are the mobs? This is the post dummy here. with a little bit of damage. That is all about that one. However, once you get all of the forms and you can swap it out, the reason why this one, the red one, becomes super useful is it draws feathers and those feathers return to you and they do damage on both instances. So boom, and then they return, doing a massive amount of damage. So that's the one you want. You don't want any of the other versions. You just want the red version. That is the main one. That is the main one. Now in the old school section, when it comes to PvP, to be honest, you are a little bit more flexible on what you want to choose here. I think this really depends on your playstyle. You can do the ink shutter, which is a little bit funny because it kind of puts a black spot on people's screens. Kind of annoying, but they can clean it off. But yeah, it's not really that useful apart from that, just to annoy people. But for me personally, in PvP, I really like to use things like dog stuff trip. This is from the beggar sec just because it's a really nice crowd control. However, I do find myself liking the trip one more because it's an AoE knockdown. I really like the trip though. I feel like the trip is it's a really quick cast that does a nice knockdown. So I can't really say so much here about PvP because it really matters with your playstyle. You have your jab here, you have your trip. It depends on what you like. They do really well, but don't do something like plume, and it doesn't really work for PvP that well. However, you can get away with it in GVG because no one really cares about this in GVG. They don't even see it coming. So it's a good damage, but it doesn't really offer anything else apart from damage. So maybe CC1 is really good for something like this. You do have Unbreakable. Unbreakable is more like aura farming. You are like you can't dash and stuff, but you're unstoppable and you take less damage. But yeah, that is that. That's all. It's aura farming. It's just aura. You can walk through into a guild like that. Well, they do less damage to it, but that's about it. Yeah, those are the best skills that you want to be going for. You don't want to stretch yourself too far wide because you don't have enough resources unless you're a pay to win and you're buying the Jades, and that this video doesn't really matter to you. But for those people who are like really trying to be to min max, those are the few skills you want to be going for. Don't go for the others. They are completely useless. You can go for them after you've maxed out the main ones, like things like Sword, Storm, Blossom. Everyone doing GVGs should be running this. It's a no-brainer skill. It does a lot of damage. It's super good. And with that being said, thanks guys for watching this really quick video. I hope this one's gonna help you guys make a decision on what you wanna gacha for, and I kind of wish you luck on your gachas. I hope you don't hit any pity. Thanks guys for watching. Like and subscribe to me. It really helps me out a lot, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.